G'day, leaders. In this podcast, we discuss somebody who I consider the happiest man on earth and the two choices that we have in life that will determine if you're going to be happy in what you do. Enjoy.
Why did it count backwards? I know that we're now recording.
What? Hello, Captain.
What do I...
Come fly with me. Let's fly away.
What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. So, leadership, life, and everything else.
Yeah.
And we're live.
No.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, Guy.
And what are we going to talk about today?
So I was thinking about this. A few days ago, I drove past a pub near where I live.
Yep.
It was during the day. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy cleaning the windows. And he had on his shirt, presentation team. And I thought, what a cool...
How cool.
Like, role name or identity for someone who cleaned the windows and potentially cleaned other parts of the pub. And just that whole thing of, you know, renaming it and reframing it and thinking actually they are responsible for the presentation of that business.
Yeah. That's a great title, the presentation team. I love that.
Yeah, even the shirt was like a really pretty blue. It wasn't your typical cleaner uniform colour, whatever that is.
Yeah. Is there a cleaning colour?
Yeah.
Presentation team. Just imagine how that would make people feel in that industry. Yeah, you're not a cleaner. You are the presentation team.
Well, it put a smile on my face, and I wasn't even like I wasn't doing the role.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. So reframing it and feeling like you had that purpose rather than cleaning a pub, which, you know, 2 a.m. in the morning, if you've ever been in a pub, it's like that's pretty gross. But you feel sorry for the person the next day.
Exactly.
But presentation team.
That's different mindset. It reminds me of a story about JFK. Have you heard this one? JFK was walking through NASA, and he was doing a tour of NASA, and he walked through a corridor, and he saw a guy, and he said, "Excuse me, sir, and what do you do?" And the bloke looked at JFK and said, "Mr. President, I'm helping to put a man on the moon." And he was the janitor. Yeah. And it became one of JFK's favourite stories. I asked this guy, "What do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm helping to put a man on the moon." He cleaned the bathrooms, and it was clear that janitor was connected to a purpose that was bigger than his job, and it became JFK's favourite story, one of JFK's favourite stories. And I love that story because it shows that you don't have to be just focusing on what you do. You can focus on how what you do contributes to the bigger picture.
And well, any organisation I've ever worked for where you felt like you were part of the big picture rather than just that singular role, there's more dedication, you give more, and you're proud. Yeah. It's kind of like a family almost.
Presentation team. And I love the fact that it said team as well.
Yes.
You're part of a collective, you're part of a group of people that help make this place look beautiful.
Well, as a pilot, my job was to operate an aircraft full of people, and sometimes not full of people, to and from locations. But I remember when we first, when I joined Regional Airline, and on our first day, we were given a bit of a pep talk and a welcome in our induction, and they mentioned that, you know, our role, not only to operate the aircraft safely for the aircraft and passengers, but also just consider what we're doing. We're connecting people and all of the different reasons and situations why people would fly. So there's holidays, there's going to work, there's moving, there's going to funerals, there's people that they're leaving behind, there's people that they're meeting, all these different reasons, and it humanised the role that we did rather than just purely technically operating an aircraft.
Yeah. Yeah, giving you purpose.
Yeah,
something bigger. Yeah. That reminds me of somebody I met. I've always referred to him as the happiest man on earth, and so I was running these team building workshops, and we had a real diverse range of people in these workshops because it was a team of people that worked in large buildings in the city. So they looked after the big buildings in the city. So we had security guards, we had cleaners, we had asset managers, we had a diverse range of people who are all on a very diverse range of salaries as well. And so we're running these team building workshops, trying to get them to, operate as a team to look after these assets. And I met a guy who I call the happiest man on earth, and his name's Mario. So Mario was a cleaner, yeah? And so he came into this team building workshop with all these other people, and every activity we did, no matter what we were doing, how challenging it was, he had the biggest smile on his face. And he was just one of those people who, when you meet, they're just warm. They warm the area around them with their attitude and their smile and stuff. And he was only this little guy. And I insulted him.
How?
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that I insulted him at the time, but later on, looking back, like when I was looking back that evening, when I was kind of like debriefing the workshop in my head, I'd realised I'd insulted him. So I went up to him in one of the breaks and I said to him, Mario, why are you so happy? Can you hear the insult? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the insult. Why are you so happy? Because you're a cleaner and you clean the toilets.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that was the subtext in my comment at the time. I was young and stupid and I wasn't as self-aware, hopefully, as I am now, and I'm sure I've got a long way to go. But I said to him with like an intrigue, how can you possibly be so happy? And I'll never forget his response. And it was just beautiful. I'm going to do a very, very bad attempt at his accent. But he looked at me and he said, Guy, why wouldn't I be happy?
Is he Russian?
He's from Argentina.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't have been further away on the planet. I'm great at accents, as you can tell.
Yes.
But he looked at me and he said, Guy, why wouldn't I be happy? I catch the train to work. Every day I sit on the train for 2 hours. I'm not going to do his accent. I sit on the train for 2 hours every morning, and I just look out the window and I look at this beautiful country that I now live in, and I think about my children. I think about my football, you call it soccer, and I get to work and I clean this building, and I'm very good at it. I make the building look beautiful, and it's not hard. It's easy. It's easy for me to do, and I'm trying to do his accent again.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm cleaning, I can think about my soccer and my football, my family and my children, and every month I send money to my family in Argentina, and they think that I'm a god because I do this for them. And then I catch the train home, and again I think about my soccer, my football, my family, and my son. Guy, you tell me why I shouldn't be happy.
Great perspective.
Wasn't it? And in that moment, I didn't realise I did in the moment, but I'd been given one of the best lessons anyone's ever given me. Yeah, he'd figured out life, right? He'd figured out life, and I call them the two choices. The two choices are, you can either find what you love doing and make that your career, or choose to love what you do. And Mario had chosen to love. I'm sure he didn't grow up thinking, I will clean toilets and that is my purpose. But he wasn't cleaning toilets. He was creating an environment in a building, a clean, beautiful environment where the tenants of that building would come in every day to this beautiful environment that he made beautiful. That's what he focused on, right? So there's two choices in life. You either find what you love doing, and all of the motivational speakers all over the internet tell you to do this. Find what you love doing and make it your career. Well, there is another choice. Whatever you do, decide to love it. And take the example from Mario.
I've read somewhere that you've got 100 things going through your mind, and 99 of them might be positive, happy things, and there's one negative, and yet we tend to focus on the negative and disregard the other 99. So it's that. And if you look at it, statistically, why aren't we weighted towards the happy or the better, but we somehow still tend to gravitate to the negative? So it's that conscious decision to look at the positive.
Well, I guess the negative is where the danger is. And so our brains are designed to look for danger so you can protect yourself from it. And that's why we probably gravitate to the more negative aspects of life. But yeah, I loved meeting him. He really shook my brain up that day. I didn't realise it at the time. It wasn't until later on that evening excuse me, looking back on that day that I'd insulted him, and I felt really bad for doing it. I didn't even understand at the time that I did it, but then he gifted me, instead of being offended himself, he gifted me one of the best lessons I've ever received, you know. Why wouldn't I be happy?
Well, part of, we mentioned in a previous podcast about the curiosity.
Yeah.
And we've been doing some coaching, business coaching recently. And one of the things we asked was, what do you do? And what's one thing, curious thing about you, or something that nobody knows? And I remember Sam, she was saying that for 3 years she was a truffle farmer.
That's right. And she taught me that white truffle's better than the dark truffle.
That's
I didn't know that.
And to look at her, you'd not know that at all. There was nothing. And I joked with her, you know, your nose is so clean for a truffle farmer. But
she had a dog that did the work. She wasn't down there trying to find them herself. Hey, Sam, shout out.
But there's so many things about people that you can't tell on the surface, or what they're currently doing, what their backstory is. And people are like, you can learn so much from other people. So never be the ones that think, like potentially you did when you were younger, that you're somehow better than. It's you never know the lesson that someone else can teach you.
Yeah, I got one the other day.
Yes.
It just popped into my head when you were saying that. So firstly, a big shout out to the field service guys at the City of Charles Sturt over in Adelaide. So I've been working with them for over 20 years. And it's one of my oldest and loveliest clients. And some of the guys that were in the room, I met over 20 years ago when I first did some training there. But one of the guys came up to me and said, Guy, do you remember what I said last time we met? And this was probably 10 years ago. I said, no. And he said, oh, you said you love this quote. And I said, can you tell me the quote again? And he said, yeah. He said, a setback is a setup for a comeback.
Oh,
how good's that one?
That's good.
Yeah.
A setback
is a setup
for a comeback.
Yeah. And and when he said it, I remembered the first time he'd told me, but I'd not written it down. I hadn't given it the energy that it deserves, and I hadn't brought it into my, teachings or even just my everyday thoughts. But when he said it, I looked back and I thought, wow, yeah, that was a beautiful gift. And so he'd learned it in a book. He'd read it, and he said, 10 years ago, I've got one for you. I've got something. Anyway, but he reminded me of it. And so, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Great way to reframe that adversity.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. And that would be a Mario way of thinking.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? Yeah. Mario thinking. Let's label that as a thing. Mario thinking. A setback is a set up for a comeback, which ties into the anti-fragility message that you give in your keynotes. I like this. Okay, so the happiest man on earth.
Mario.
Yeah, maybe that's what we call this podcast.
Yeah, I like
happiest man on earth. You have two decisions in life. You can either choose to find what you love doing and make it your job, make it your career, and then you'll never have a career, you'll never work. But actually on that, right, I have met people who have done that. They've gone down that path. They've chosen what they love, and then they've made it their career, but then they made a decision to not like their work anymore.
Yeah.
So they took the enjoyment out of their passion. Yeah. But then the other choice is just to choose what you love doing. And it is a choice, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
If
you can be happy cleaning a toilet because you're making a beautiful environment for other people, you're part of a presentation team, that is ultimately a choice.
Yes.
And we choose our careers. I don't know too many people who had a gun held to their head in high school. You will be a doctor.
Yeah, mind you,
I don't know why they have that voice.
Pressures from families and whatever, but yeah, you have a choice.
You do.
Make it your passion.
Yeah, make it your passion. Choose what you love. All right. Bollinger, where are you?
Yep, Bose.
Hello,
come on. Hello. Yes.
Should we choose another company that Chanel,
Lindt chocolates.
Oh yeah, they're one of our. They are our favourite chocolate.
I know.
Oh, okay. Tell people about the experience.
Okay, so we were booked on a flight to go to Darwin.
Yep.
And at 4 a.m. in the morning, it was an early flight, 2 sectors up to Darwin from Sydney. 4 a.m. we got up and woke up to a text message that our flight had been rescheduled to the next day.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
a day later.
that was the day that you needed to be there to do your keynote. So we thought, okay, up early, go to the airport anyway, and we'll sort it there.
Yeah.
And
because there's got to be other flights that can get us.
That's
to
right.
Darwin.
There are other ways.
Yes.
And we managed to, whilst in the line to the help desk, booked another flight on
a different carrier.
Yeah. And it actually worked out faster and cheaper.
Yeah.
We got there, but we weren't where we would normally be seated.
Yes.
The cabin crew...
Are you saying that we get nice seats? we're not in the pointy end.
No, we're not in the pointy end.
We just get a little bit more leg room.
But...
because we fly so often.
The cabin crew were amazing. They, when they came around with the cart to offer some meals, not knowing that airline's particular... menu.
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm not familiar. Could you tell me what they are, please? And he very kindly...
He was great, wasn't he?
He was like extra customer service. Yeah. And he kept saying, oh, look, and it was like I'd never flown before, and he's helping me.
He would never clue that you're an airline captain who's flown millions of miles.
No, I try not to tell people.
Yes.
But it was amazing. And then at the end of the flight, so it was a 4-hour, 10-minute flight.
Yeah.
Comfortable, we watched shows, etc.
Yep.
And then just before top of descent, he came through the cabin and he gave us a sick bag full of Lindt chocolate.
Lindt chocolate's our favourite chocolate.
I know, it was like gold.
Yeah, but I reflected on that. It's because you inject energy into every interaction you have with human beings, Michelle.
Oh,
you make people feel better when you leave them. You always do this. So that was a reflection on you. But he gifted us with our favourite chocolate.
I know.
So Lindt.
Yes.
Okay, Lindt. If you're listening, we like Lindor, the balls. Yeah, our favourites are the white ones, but we like the milk. We like the dark. So if you want to reach out and sponsor this podcast, Bollinger haven't come to the party. Neither of those.
Not yet.
Not yet. But I'm sure that they'll all come rushing and they'll be fighting each other for who can sponsor us first.
Yes.
More dogs.
More dogs. World will be a better place with more dogs.
Yeah, if you want merch with more dogs on it and Captain the Clown on the back of the T-shirt, go to our website at captaintheclown.com. And great talking to you again, Michelle.
Fantastic. Thanks, Guy.
Cheers. Bye.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
You're such a clown.
The clown.
Lady Captain. There we go.
And who's going to listen to this? Maybe our mums.
Thanks, Mum.